I want to say karibu sana. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe. Let's create content together. I mean, this is not just my content. Let us create the content together. Karibu sana. Subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. This is my channel. This is our channel. This is your channel. This is a channel that will be timeless for our kids and the people after us. Let's live life. Let's enjoy life. Let's have a wonderful life. Let it, I mean, just you are alive, make it count. You are alive, make a mark. You are alive, make it count. Subscribe and karibu sana. Thank you. So this is the fun way of me saying welcome to our channel. This is going to be an interactive session. This is going to be like our shared space, and I want people to come in and brainstorm with me. Let's talk about our losses, our grief. Let's talk about basic how life has been. I mean, the reality, not the glam. This is what I am about. This is what Joshua Ringa is about. And for a moment, I would want you to, like, if you have not subscribed, please subscribe. Just dial that button and subscribe. Today we're going to talk about grief. And I know I have had this question with so many people asking me how I've been dealing with life, how my last five loss, somehow maybe loss of a loved one, loss of something that was very personal to you, loss of a job, and that is what we are talking about. Basically, it's not necessarily doesn't it is not just linked to loss of life. It could be a pet that you lost, a job, like I've said, or anything. So I want to begin by saying grief is a natural emotional emotion that everyone who has had loss goes through. It's a very healthy process, and it's a way of dealing with loss. We're also going to look at stages of grief in this session. So let's talk about stages of grief. I was reading a book by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. She's a psychiatrist, and she denotes that it is very important to know that we don't all experience the same stages of grief. Everybody is different, and everybody deals with this in a very different way. So I'm just going to highlight what I've been. I mean, my journey has been in the past 5 years. Yeah, we are. It will be his anniversary on his death anniversary on June 10th. So we are going into 5 years. So let's say it's my journey. This is my journey that I'm sharing, that I've been through in the past 4 years in a few months. So let's get in. What is grief? Grief is any certain mental suffering or distress that is brought about by loss. I know most of you have had loss somehow, maybe loss of a loved one, loss of something that was very personal to you, loss of a job, and that is what we are talking about. Basically, it's not necessarily doesn't it is not just linked to loss of life. I mean, human life, but it's also maybe could be a pet that you lost, a job, like I've said, or anything. So I want to begin by saying grief is a natural emotional emotion that everyone who has had loss goes through. It's a very healthy process, and it's a way of dealing with loss. We're also going to look at stages of grief in this session. So let's talk about stages of grief. I was reading a book by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. She's a psychiatrist, and she denotes that it is very important to know that we don't all experience the same stages of grief. Everybody is different, and everybody deals with this in a very different way. So I'm just going to highlight what I've been. My journey has been in the past 5 years. Yeah, we are. it will be his anniversary on his death anniversary on June 10th. So we are going into 5 years. So let's say it's my journey. This is my journey that I'm sharing, that I've been through in the past 4 years in a few months. It's also very important to mention that the best way to deal with loss is to allow the whole process to, to allow yourself to go through the whole process. Some people go through grief with a lot of difficulty, others it's with very little difficulty. Some people grew through it all their lives, others just go through a few stages and they find ease and they find inner peace, and that is what keeps them going. Others take too long, others take a lifetime. And I want to say that the journey I'm going to share with you is my own experience. It's what I've been through. It doesn't have to be necessarily similar to you or taking the same amount of time or energy with anybody. But this is just me talking about what my experience has been so far. So okay, now I want to share that this is my experience, like I said. So my first stage was shock and denial. I remember I had almost a month old twins in my hands, and then my firstborn was 1 year 8 months. So I was looking at it. I was like, oh gosh, this cannot be happening. Like I remember even telling my sister, this is not happening, but this is not happening, and he's coming back. And I remember my sister just looking at me like, and she didn't have words. She didn't say anything. She was very shocked. I think it's this is the stage that I went through. I detached myself from the reality, and that was the most difficult time. I must say, it was the most difficult time because I could. The second, the second stage is pain and guilt. I must say that when I lost my husband, I was in such pain. When the shock and denial subsided, I realized, oh God, he's not coming back. And that is when it hit me that I was in pain. I was feeling guilty that he was in an accident. And I was thinking that there was something we would have done to save him. There was definitely something we should have done, like he would have been taken to a better hospital. I was angry with the doctors. This is a stage I was very angry with the doctors. I was angry with the road in charge, the people in charge of the roads because he died on a road accident. I was angry, particularly very angry with God because this is the first time I had somebody who really got me, somebody who was very nice to me. I think that that stage where I stayed for a long time was on anger, like I've said, and I had to hold that bargaining card, asking myself, um, maybe if it was me who left, things would have been better for the kids. Remember, like I was jobless. I had not even completed my studies. I had not graduated. I had like finished my last exams in March. Then he gave birth on April, and then he passed on later in early June. So I remember like thinking about it, and I'm like, maybe if I'm the one who went to be with the Lord, the kids would have been in better hands, even when there were certain things that led us to leave our home from our in-laws. And I was asking myself, like, if it's me who left, he would have still been there, settled with the kids very well. The fourth stage is turning around. Let me call it turning around. This is when I realized that he was no longer coming back, and the money I had was getting depreciated. And this is also the time we decided to move from our in-laws. I mean, that is when we moved. We had just moved from our in-laws, and I had to look for money. I had to fed for the kids. Remember, the kids had my firstborn had a certain way of life that she had gotten used to it, and here I am. I can't provide everything they need. I can barely. hold it together myself, and I had to pull myself together for the kid. I had a nanny who needed to get paid. Now I had rent at somewhere in Muthiga. This is this was a very difficult time, and I knew this is it. The fifth stage for me was reconstruction and working through. This is when I realized. I mean, I can describe this stage as when I realized I had to get things together. I had to make things work. I had to do whatever it took for me to like move 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 from one place to the next in my life. It's not really like moving on, but it's you get a grip. It's more of getting a grip and a sense of control over your life and your happiness, and that for the people that depend on you. This is the time I started applying for jobs. And lucky enough, in a month after applications, I got a job for a Chinese company. It was not a very well paying job, but it did take care of us. Let me say through this all, my the stage I am in now is on acceptance. I have been in this stage for so long. I It's the stage where like you just it is simply does not mean you get over it or you move on. No, it's the process of acknowledging that the laws and what the new normal will be for you. And this, I have been stuck here for a while. I think this is a long process for me, and it has given me the ability to reflect on the good times we had, all the best times we had in our lives. It makes it possible for one to even talk about it. I'm able to talk about my husband to my friends, something that I couldn't talk about without breaking down. And it's a very important stage. I also want to say that there's nothing like moving on. I mean, it does not exist. I've been slowly finding a way to live without him, which is what my life is going to be for the for the next years or for the rest of it all. And it doesn't mean like I'm breaking down. No, it just means that I am more open. I'm able to talk about it. I'm able to, and I know we are planning to share this with the kids. We always tell the kids that their daddy is away, but I think it's also the time that I come out and tell them, so because they're in a position to comprehend now. They're in grade one and they're going to grade one, and the twins are in PP1. So I think it's time for us. I also want to put down my closing remarks and say that there are no right ways or wrong ways of dealing with grief. This is a process that can be timeless for us. It's No one should be rushing you on how to grieve or to get going with your life. This is your life. It's you to take your time and understand this, and then understand that you're the only one who has experienced it, and nobody else can help you understand, and no one else can understand you better than yourselves. And I want to say that if you're finding it difficult, let's keep the conversation going. How have you been dealing with grief? What is grief for you? And I also recommend, like, if you find it overwhelming, kindly seek for counseling. There are several organizations that do guidance and counseling for people who've been bereaved for free. So finally, like, I want to say, let's keep it here. Let's keep the conversation going. I want to know what you've been experiencing, what you've been going through. Share it. Also give us tips and remind a person on the comment section that you're not alone. You're not walking in this world alone. It has not just happened to you. It happens to people. This is something that happens. Being alive or not being alive is something that happens, and the process is much almost the same. It doesn't have to follow like what I've shared, but basically, I want to hear what you've been going through, what you've been up to, and what's working and what's not working for you. If you're interested in joining the show, karibu sana. I will be more than glad to share your recording in this channel.